Hey everyone, today I'm going to share with you the complete casting history of the Hot Wheels Porsche 962, which is one of my all-time favorite castings. In this video I will cover all the details from every release, color change, and variation. But before we get into it, first off, here's a little background and history on the Porsche 962 race car. As I said, this is one of my all-time favorite castings. I'm a huge fan of vintage racing, especially prototype race cars from the late 70s throughout the mid-90s. Big turbo horsepower, beautiful sweeping body lines, and ground effects tunnels that produce massive amounts of downforce. It all adds up to some of the fastest race cars ever created. In fact, a Porsche 956, driven by the late Stefan Bellof, held the outright lap record around the famous Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit from 1983 until just recently, when it was broken by a modern Porsche 919 hypercar. Now, the 962 is the successor to the 956, which really set the benchmark for early 80s prototype technology and was a dominant race car. The main difference between the cars is the 962 has a longer wheelbase and a longer nose section in order to meet IMSA regulations in the United States. These IMSA 962s actually used different engines than the 956 had. It was an air-cooled flat six with a single turbo versus the water-cooled 24-valve twin-turbo flat six in the 956. Group C spec 962s that replaced the 956 carried on with the twin-turbo engine, and that's what the Hot Wheels casting is based on. You can actually see exhaust outlets on both sides, as well as extra air inlets for the twin turbos. The Porsche 962 is arguably the most successful prototype race car of all time, with examples still winning races globally well into the mid-90s, more than 10 years after their introduction. So there's a little history on this great race car. Now on to the details of each Hot Wheels release of this great casting. And the cool thing is each release is modeled after actual race liveries so far. Hot Wheels first introduced the Porsche 962 in the 2017 Car Culture Race Day series. It is finished in white with a Greddy racing livery. This is a true racing livery based on the Japanese Trust Racing Team entry into the 1991 World's Sport Prototype Championship Series. As you can see, the deco is pretty accurate, except it's missing the Trust wording on the sides. Rumor has it this was one of the last 962 chassis ever produced by Porsche. Release number 2 of the 962 was in the 2018 Car Culture Circuit Legends series. It's finished in black and red Advan livery, which is modeled after the very successful 962 raced in the All Japan Sports Prototype Championship in the mid to late 80s. The third release of the 962 was in the Car Culture Team Transport series, also released in 2018. This was number 6 in that now still ongoing series and is modeled after the number 30 Jost Racing Momo-sponsored 962, driven by Giampiero Moretti in the early 90s. So the casting is technically correct. However, the actual race version was a later model where the rear wing was separate from the bodywork. Release number 4 came in the 2020 Hot Wheel Entertainment series under the Gran Turismo theme, and it was modeled after likely one of the most famous 962 liveries in history. It was the 24-hour Le Mans champion Porsche Factory Works Team Rothmans cars from the FIA Group C series. Obviously, Rothmans is a tobacco company, and as such can't be printed on a toy car anymore. So we get a blue and white racing livery in the same font as the Rothmans. That brings us to release number 5 and 6, and they both came out in the 2021 Car Culture 2-car premium set, including the number 8 Valvoline livery and yet another number 25 Advan livery. First off, the number 8 car. This car is actually modeled after the winning car from the 1985 Daytona 24-hour race, driven by the legendary A.J. Foyt and Al Unser Sr. Now, as I mentioned before, the 962 casting is based on the 962C with the twin-turbo engine. However, in 1985, IMSA still only allowed a single-turbo engine. So this casting is not truly correct for the livery. That being said, it still looks fantastic and is now my favorite release, even if the front wheels should have been white RRAs to be more period correct. That takes us to release number 6, and true to form, Mattel has been sort of re-releasing certain castings in these Car Culture 2-car sets. So, the number 25 Advan livery was already released in the 2018 Circuit Legends series. Does this version have any differences, or is it truly the exact same release? Well, it's really close, but I've determined there's enough difference between them to make this release a new version. Everything is the same, all the tampos are in the right place, it has the same tampos. The only difference is the shade of red. This latest release has a brighter shade of red compared to the Circuit Legends release in 2018, which is definitely a little bit darker. So there you have it, the complete casting history of the awesome Hot Wheels Porsche 962. I hope this helps you fill in all the details for your database. As always, please give this a like and subscribe for more Hot Wheels videos. Take care, everyone.